I hope everybody is excited because today I'm bringing you episode 1 of Notes of the Hilltop. I'm here with two other Pomfret friends, Manny from Chelmsford, Mass, and James from Plymouth, Michigan. And all three of us are spread around the country pretty evenly. I wanted to stick in the country for this first episode and showcase how different we are inside our borders before we venture outside to our international friends. All right, first question for you guys. I'll start with James here. Can you tell me about where you grew up and how it influenced your music taste and kind of where your music taste is today?
Yeah, so I grew up in the greater Detroit area, Metro Detroit area, and growing up, my parents would always listen to Motown music. They would listen to Michael Jackson, Aretha Franklin, and that really resonated with me when I was little. And nowadays, that's what I listen to, and it brings a nostalgic feeling when I listen to Motown.
Nice. So you're a big fan of the classics. I like that a lot. My dad's old AC/DC stuff definitely still hits pretty hard for me as well. So growing up outside the Metro Detroit area, I know you're pretty close to what many people call like Chirac in Chicago. I know Detroit and Chirac kind of have that edge to it of a trap. All right, so moving on from the aforementioned Chirac, also known as Chicago, there's an influence of drill music that has spread pretty far into Detroit, and I wonder if you've gotten that kind of essence of rap and old-timey stuff, or if you really just stuck to the classic old-timers like Mike Jack, or if you kind of dove into the trap music or drill side, because I know for some friends that live near Metro Detroit, that's kind of what they like.
Yeah, so for most of the time, I like to stay to the classical stuff, but I do venture off into territories that go into hip-hop drill.
Yeah, nice.
And one example of this is a Detroit rapper by the name of Rio De Young OG. And he actually is in jail. And one thing that came out is a lot of Detroit Lions fans were pulling up to games with the Free Rio signs, and it became a cultural movement. And it spoke to more than even his music. And that's one thing that kids around me in the Metro Detroit area started listening to his rap.
I mean, that's just beautiful. It really showcases how some people in this world can just transcend music and bring a crowd together. And I love that you mentioned that about the Detroit Lions game. That's just really interesting. May I ask why he went to jail?
I don't know.
Interesting. All right. Moving on to our second friend in the building, Manny from Chelmsford, Mass. About 30 minutes outside of Boston, give or take. Can you tell me about your upbringing and how it kind of influenced your music taste today?
So growing up, my dad also listened to classical music. You mentioned AC/DC. My dad's a big AC/DC fan. But my mom listened to country music, like old-time country.
Oh, so did my mom.
Yeah, my mom was a big Garth Brooks fan, big Kenny
No way.
Chesney fan.
Sorry to interrupt you, but Garth Brooks actually grew up very close to my mom.
Really?
And, she's actually met him a few times before, yeah.
Garth Brooks is my mom's favorite musician. So
You have any favorite songs by him?
Friends in Low Places is a good song.
Absolute
by Garth
classic
Brooks.
right there. That's such a good pull.
The only problem with Garth Brooks is he's only available on Amazon Music due to a recent deal he signed.
I actually didn't know that. So kind of moving on to that question, I like that you mentioned that. Do you think that music should be restricted either behind a paywall or different subscriptions, or do you think it should be free for everyone? And how would you really want to implicate that and implement it into the world we know today?
Well, I think it would be great if music was free for everyone, but at the same time, these musicians do have to make their money some way.
It's very understandable.
So in order to support themselves, support their families, and make their dreams come true, there does have to be a price. I'm not a huge fan of artists like Garth Brooks signing these big deals with Amazon.
Yeah.
It kind of limits his music from being able to be spread to the more modern generation, but I can understand it based on the price tag next to that contract.
That makes sense. And where would you say your music taste is at today? What do you find yourself listening on the day-to-day basis?
My music taste is kind of all over the place. I listen to anything from old country to 2010s pop to rap. So it kind of just depends on my mood. Sometimes I even dip into the Latino genre.
Like artists like Bad Bunny, do you fancy?
I'm more of an El Alfa type of guy.
Very interesting. James, you're making a sign now. What does that mean?
Oh, yeah, so Yeah, when Manny mentioned the Latino culture and that type of music, that also resonates with me because I used to play baseball, and back in baseball, I would play with a lot of teammates who would listen to Bad Bunny, and it rubbed off on me. So that's just all.
Nice. All right. So I found that pretty interesting on your guys' stance on the Latino music. And James, you mentioned how it impacts your baseball. You actually stuck your tongue out for a bit there, and I was wondering if that was like something to fire you up, like a walk-up song when you go to the plate.
Yeah.
So yeah, that does make a lot of sense. That I can fire you up and really get you going. Do you have any examples you'd like to play for us, James? Just search your library. I know I told you to bring a couple songs, and just play me an example, please.
Yeah, so I'll play you a quick example. This is from Bad Bunny, and when I hear this, it just gets me fired up.
I'd love to hear it.
Yep. Yeah, so basically that right there, like, if I use that for my walk-up song, it just gets me going. And when I get up to the plate, I really get locked in and think, I can get on base here. I can be a difference maker, and I can change the score of the game.
Oh, that's just so intriguing. I love how music just inspires you and just flows through your body, almost to the point where you can make a hit yourself. Moving on with that question, do you think it's something like the tempo of the music or the drums? I noticed a lot of Latino elements in that song, like that low bass and those high bells that kind of really hit you hard and just make you want to dance and groove almost. And that music just really makes you flow. I love to see that. And I know you're pretty good at editing yourself, Mr. J. Romper Stomper. So I wanted you to tell me, have you ever thought about making music or creating like an edit of that sort? And if you don't want to make music, how music impacts your edits?
No, yeah, so I haven't really thought much about making music, but I do find it intriguing. But when it comes to my edits and using music, I noticed that I need to pick a song that's usually high tempo or reflects like a certain mood to the video that I'm trying to create. It's almost like a story that I'm trying to create. So if I want it to be energetic and suspenseful, lots of stress, then I'll pick a high-paced song with a lot of beats, quick beats. And then if I want something more dramatic and cinematic, then I'll do it slower.
That's really interesting to hear from a point of someone who uses music in their day-to-day job in life and really their potential future business. It's just honestly so intriguing to find out how you really use music to move people like that. And moving on to Manny, have you ever had any thoughts about creating your own music? I know you dabble a little bit in piano and the ukulele, or I could say in class. Is there any ways you like making music or anything you'd be inspired by in the future?
So growing up playing hockey, I heard a lot of mixes on SoundCloud, a lot of mixes of different songs that are mashed up together.
Just to pipe in a little bit, here on the West Coast side of the country, we don't hear a lot of mixes and stuff. So maybe one of my first weeks here, Manny showed me the Big Booty mixes, which kind of
No.
And we had a little bit of a laughing sesh from that past clip there, because Big Booty, it is a pretty funny name, but the songs are not funny. They're serious and they have a great beat to them. It is the name of the artist who makes the songs, and he actually has a series of Big Booty mixes. Big Booty 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 67 is it?
I'm not sure how many, but my favorite one is 11.
Could you play a clip of that? Just pull it up while I'm talking here. Anyway, so first week at school, Manny shows me a Big Booty mix, and I was awfully intrigued, not by the name, but by the music. It's just kind of grown on me a bit. We don't really have it on the West Coast, and I've sent some to my friends back home, and they love it as well. So it also just shows how music can connect us and kind of bring us together in ways that we had no idea it could, because we didn't know they existed. And here we have a clip of Big Booty 11. Wow. You really see how that build-up is kind of starting to hit on the soul a bit, and I like those hard drum and bass songs. They really get to me. I'm a big fan of house music myself, and something I kind of inferenced when we started playing that mix is Mr. James Romps was flicking his hand up. I believe that's called the frat flick. Do you often find this as your way you like to dance to music, or do you have other dances or ways you like to move and get groovy?
No, so yeah, frat flick's for sure one of the top ones for me.
That's really
and
good.
yeah, I just
All right, I decided not to edit that laughter out because everyone deserves a little giggle in their lives, like someone else's. As a member of the audience, though. All right, Mr. James Roms, continue with your answer. You feel like it is?
Yeah, so back to my answer before I got distracted. The frat flick to me seems like one of this new like modernized dance that is being taken at universities all over the globe. And I believe that when you listen to music and you have a groove that just won't stop, there's some piece of you that needs to move, and that's how you get this feeling of dancing out of you and how you become one with the music. So when I do the frat flick with the beat, I feel like I'm one with the music.
Yeah, I really like that answer. When I was at the Coachella Music Festival in Coachella, California, I feel like myself got pretty involved with the frat flicking on some of the sets. And it definitely gets the groove out of you, and you gotta be doing something. Why not throw your hand in there, give it a little flick? I feel like it's pretty popular, and just makes you feel really condensed with the music and in sync with it, I'd like to say. Manny, you had some smiles at the frat flick. Are you interested in this or pretty experienced with it? I know you've been to ZooMass a few times. I wondered what you think of the frat flick in college settings and how it kind of associates students and music together.
I've never really seen the frat flick, actually.
Oh, never. Interesting.
This is one of the first times I've seen it, so I was smiling at the move. I just love seeing other people having fun with some music and dancing.
I love that. Our eyes never deceive us. I mean, you can tell the joy on James's face when he was throwing his hand up, and I could too. Sandra, do you think you'll implement some like sort of frat flick in your life when you hear music? So I was asking if you would implement some sort of frat flick or kind of jig that you do when you listen to music, or if there's any dance you kind of fall back on by yourself or anything you plan on.
No, I really just let the music take me away. Nice. I do whatever feels natural, and I feel like thinking about what you're doing when you're dancing just makes it seem forced. And dancing is all about the body moving naturally and fluidly and having a good time. So I like to not think about what I'm doing when I'm dancing, unless it's for, say, a planned dance like the Cotton Eye Joe.
Oh, I love the Cotton Eye Joe. I'm a big fan of the Macarena as well. I feel like that's one of the things that it just associates the movements that you think you should be doing into the actual dance. And I just honestly feel so complete when I complete that. So yeah, very, very interesting. Kind of to close this out here, is there anything you guys have noticed being on the Hilltop, being surrounded by so many different phenotypes of people that kind of influence your music taste?
Yeah, so from back home, we didn't really have much EDM prep school mix. And the second I got on the Hilltop, I fell in love. It was like love at first sight. It was like when you see that one person and you just, it's love at first sight. And that was me with EDM music. Yeah, and when I was on that rabbit hole looking at EDM music, I found one that just struck me particularly well. And it was the New Jersey Titans North American Hockey League warm-up mix. I found myself bumping to that in the shower, before practice, before school, before a test. It was like love.
Yeah, I too have songs that I play before everything to really get me going, get me in the mindset that I like. Manny, you did the almost Italian spice hand symbol when James brought that mix up. Did you show that mix to him, and did you help associate his love for mixes?
I did play a factor in in James's love of mixes.
That's nice.
Being from the East Coast, I knew about a lot of these mixes before, so it was really just introducing him to the mixes.
That's good to hear. And is there any genres of music you've learned about or been intrigued about when you've joined us on the Hilltop here?
I've actually had a couple good conversations with Sebastian Areola.
Wow, he's
Regarding-
actually our next guest on the show, so don't reveal too much.
Yeah, but you can ask him a couple questions about this. But we reviewed Brazilian funk.
Wow.
We sat on the back of the soccer bus together and we exchanged Brazilian funk playlists. So some of these songs have really helped me. I play them before soccer games. I play them whenever I need to feel up. And yeah. Could I ask you a question, Brody?
Why, of course.
How do you feel about the music taste out here, and how does it compare to the West Coast where you're from?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. I know we've talked a lot about music, but I mean, it's great to allow our listeners to really see the difference between West and East Coast music. So I'd say one of the biggest differences, we have a strong pull towards house music, kind of EDM style, which I know you guys have heard me playing a lot on the West Coast. And some of the songs that I brought here to the Hilltop just aren't as widely known or popularized. So I've definitely seen a big drastic difference there. And then obviously that here with your guys' mixes, that's completely new. And that just kind of blends the element of EDM and songs that I already know together, which, I mean, who can complain about their favorite two types of music being blended? So that's really become an integral part of my life as well, just like a James Romps there. So yeah, I think it's been completely beneficial for me being on the East Coast because who knows if I would have found some of these music types without getting this experience. All right, guys, welcome to episode 2 of Notes of the Hilltop. I'm here with another Pomfret friend. This time it is Sebas from Mexico, specifically Mexico City, and I think he's going to bring us a little bit of Latino flair. And so this is our first episode outside of the borders of our beautiful United States of America. And yeah, so Seb, can you talk to me a little bit about where you grew up and how it influenced your music taste today?
So I grew up in Mexico City. To a Mexican dad and American mom. So I did have quite a bit of varied music taste. I feel like most of the music my friends would listen to were a lot of the Mexican classics from the 80s, kind of the equivalent to kids listening to 80s rock in the US. But a lot of new music like reggaeton, which was a very popular genre. But at home, for example, both my parents, my mom who grew up in the U.S., but my dad who went to graduate school in the U.S., they're both big fans of U2 and The Killers and kind
popular.
of groups like that.
Yeah.
And so I also got to listen to that music.
Yeah, so I find that very interesting. I mean, I definitely share some of that 80s rock from my parents as well.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up listening to whatever they liked when
Yeah.
they were in their 30s, and they've kind of stuck with that for a while, but mine are definitely American rock bands and not the Mexican side of things.
Yeah.
So I wanted to tell our listeners something interesting. I'm sure you don't mind sharing the room decor you have. So
Of course.
on our president's wall are, what do you got there? 8 albums, I believe. All of those are from Bad Bunny. Yeah,
Yes,
they
they are.
All 8 are from Bad Bunny. And tell us a little about how much you like him and how he's kind of improved your music taste or just flown with it over time, just everything.
I would definitely say that he's my favorite artist, and it wasn't always that way because again, it's more new music. It's the type of stuff I listen to with my friends. But I mean, when I told my parents I wanted to go to a Bad Bunny concert, neither of them were thrilled to hear that.
Yeah.
But definitely, I love his music. I think he's someone who's gotten very big. He's collaborated with a lot of different artists, and something I appreciate about him is exactly that. For my birthday, I did get to go to one of his concerts, which was for an album called El Último Tour del Mundo. And obviously, he's a reggaeton artist. So it's a lot of those similar beats. But in that album specifically, he incorporated a lot of rock into his album. And so a lot of the songs have a lot of rock influences, and there'll randomly be an electric guitar in the back. And so I just kind of feel like not only does he blend the genres a lot, which I like, but he also just has songs for every single mood that I could possibly be in. And so, yeah, I love his music.
I like that. I've heard him almost compared as the Latino Drake in a way. Lots of different variety of songs, collaborates with a lot of artists, and is pretty well liked. I liked how you brought up how music, specifically the modern types, kind of blend our favorite aspects together. He has that guitar, and I think that's just a really cool way to see how much music has grown over the years.
Exactly.
Kind of switching topics here on a different highway. I just met with my roommate Manny Carvalho for Notes of the Hilltop with James Romps, and he mentioned that you wanted to show him Brazilian funk on our soccer bus. And
Yes.
I wanted to hear a little bit about how you kind of have dove into that genre and what it has to do with soccer.
So it's kind of random, but it does have to do with soccer because I basically started hearing it just like during the 2022 World Cup. There would be a lot of like videos that would have songs of it in the back. And obviously, speaking Spanish, I can understand the tiny bit of Portuguese, but if I'm being completely honest, I don't know what they're talking about in any of the songs, but it's more of a vibe thing. It's very energetic, a lot of beat switches and like that. And so in that sense, you could argue it's similar to reggaeton, at least compared to, more than country is.
Yeah.
It's similar, but yeah, it's I like the playlist that I've curated for it, but I obviously don't really listen to it too much because it is a very particular vibe, you could say.
I definitely agree with that. When you need a little boom cha cha, like that Brazilian music,
Exactly.
really really gets into you. And I love that I just like you can really associate feeling music, and
Yeah.
we don't necessarily have to know exactly what all the lyrics mean, but we know it's good music and it makes us happy, and really that's all there is to it. I'm kind of closing out with a question here. I've been asking people, do you think anyone else's music on the Hilltop has kind of brought you to see other cultures in a different way or really appreciate kind of the variety of countries we have here?
Yeah, actually, I can give two names. So the first would actually be Manny, your roommate. So while I was showing him my Latino playlist on the bus, he hit me with all his country music songs and really put me on. I have a country music playlist that's growing, but it's definitely my smallest one. So Manny was putting me on the good songs. And the second I'd say is I'd say probably Andreas. I think I don't know if it's because he's from Haiti, but like he put me on a lot of like the like Afrobeat songs. And I don't know, I like it's like a very different vibe, but it's chill, but it's still like energetic. Sometimes I don't know, I really like it. And just in general, I wouldn't say this is a particular person, but I say Pomfret itself has put me on a lot of house music, which I didn't listen to like at all before, but I really like house music for sure. And it's more of like a thing that I think everyone can enjoy because there's no lyrics in it. There's nothing.
Yeah.
Usually it's just like, yeah.
I like that. Yeah, definitely Dre's Afrojack and Afro House has influenced me too, and I've kind of shared songs with him as well. So it's definitely a great person to expand your music taste with.
Exactly.
All right, well, Seb, I really want to thank you for joining us on Notes of the Hilltop, episode 2.
Of course, I'm honored.
Closing question, one song you would recommend?
I don't know.
Or
Let me
album.
think.
You can go album if you want. I know. Songs are hard.
I'd say Bad Bunny's Yo Hago Lo Que Me Da La Gana would probably be my favorite album.
All right, you heard it here, folks.
But yeah.
Put the earbuds in and give it a listen. All right, off to Notes on the Hilltop. We have a little special guest episode with Seth Dirty Dirds, Mr. Wilds, and Elsa. And just a quick question to all you guys. Dirty Dirds first. Molinari. She was asking what my last name is. I knew it. Dirty Dirds, what is your favorite song?
Champion by Kanye West.
Wow, that's such a fantastic pick. Is there anything special about that song that really makes you like it so much?
I just really like the beat and the samples in it.
Oh, that's great. Rapid fire here. Any music inspiration that someone else on the Hilltop has given you?
Probably Owen Schmidt. He's giving me some good songs.
Love it. All right, moving on. Mr. Wilds, what is your
Don't have a favorite song.
Wow, what an intriguing answer.
Yeah.
What was my second question? Oh, yeah. It was about the song. So now we're skipping to the third question. Has anyone on the Hilltop influenced you musically?
No. I am not artistically inclined or musically inclined.
As Dr. Burns would say, everyone is a creative. And so I think you really need to search deep down in your heart and find that creativeness. There's actually a lot of math in music, and I think that'd be an interesting path for you to take.
Great.
I think Mr. Wilds wants me to study and not do this. Look how funny I am. He's laughing. All right, Elsa, favorite song?
Drops of Jupiter.
Drops of Jupiter. Who sings that?
Train. Train, come on, you know it.
We're going to find out who sings that. Train.
This one.
Taylor Swift? You said Train.
No,
Yeah,
it's
it's
Train.
called a
That's his
cover.
Ah.
Are you gonna get
Yes.
copyright for this?
I am not, because no one. This is gonna make no money. I have heard that song. Great song. What do you like most about it?
I don't know. It's just like reminds me of summer.
The aesthetically pleasing song that reminds you of summer. I love to hear it. Now, has anyone influenced you musically on the Hilltop?
Not really.
Not
No.
really.
No.
Have you influenced anyone?
Maybe.
Bang, there we go. Everyone's a creative. Episode 3, short one, rapid fire for you guys of the notes on the Hilltop. Closing out, Brody and Terry. Bye. Not closing out, Mr. Wilds has said, nope, he says no. The Search by NF. All right, all done. Love to hear it. And so today's podcast, as you probably can tell from the name, is the Notes of the Hilltop. I want to know a little bit about where you grew up and how it influenced your music taste from and where your music taste is today.
Oh, I'm feeling like R&B and country musics.
Wow.
And I think where I grew up, we have a decent amount of musicians who, are very famous in the R&B realm. And there are a lot of people who work with people, the musicians in America who are deeply influenced by the R&Bs in America in 1990s. It was like a golden age for R&Bs back then. So I'm pretty into R&B music.
That's very interesting. I definitely am too. And I wanted to ask if there's any influence that you've seen coming to the Hilltop, that you've noticed that your music has had an influence on other people, or have other people's music had influence over you?
Oh yeah. A lot of people like Frank Ocean around me,
I
and
love Frank Ocean.
yeah.
Do you have a favorite song by him?
Pink and
Pink
plus
yes,
plus
black.
plus white. Pink plus black.
White, black, yeah.
White, black.
It's one of them.
Yeah, one of them.
I like Nights by Frank Ocean. Big fan.
Oh yeah, I've heard people that they're longing for a new album dropping by him.
Yeah.
We're looking for it next year, or
I don't know if it's ever gonna come. He's not very consistent with the albums.
yeah. But I do see how people are very into him in the sense that they all listen to the music at the end of the day as a refreshing and recharging of their battery, and I do really respect that. And I want to say the fun part of me being in the two cultures kind of is that I got to learn the songs in two languages and see their similarities between them, although they're in totally different languages, but the notes itself are deeply connected in its sense.
That's really nice. I mean, I definitely see some music, like even if it's not in English and I can understand it, like if it's like Brazilian funk or something, I feel like sometimes the lyrics just transcend themselves and you really can feel the music no matter what language it's in, and you can kind of understand the flow. So I love that you get that as well. Do you have a favorite music experience here at Pomfret by any chance?
A favorite music experience? I went to the Wolf concert.
Oh,
and
yes, the live concert.
Yeah, you went to it as well?
I did not go. She performed during Family Weekend, which I did hear, but I did not hear her album release.
She performed one of her songs in the Fall Family Weekend.
Oh, I did hear that one, yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing. And she did the rest of it, the night, other songs on her own concert. And she had this beautiful, perfect lighting on her. It feels like a real concert in the lodge. And I just want to say that I'm deeply, fascinated and surprised by the hidden talents. Or it's not really hidden talents, but it's just that the talents we have as the Griffins in here are generally, astounding and are surprised me day by day. So, yeah. What was the question? I'm sorry.
No, you answered it perfectly. I mean, that's a great experience. It is insane to think someone around our age has their own album, it's definitely pretty cool.
Yeah.
And to close us out here, last question: do you have a favorite song?
Do I have a favorite song right now? Probably Blinding Light. Blinding Light, yeah.
And what do you like about it so much?
I just generally like The Weeknd. I think I kind of, I don't know, he has a very unique style of R&B, and his voice is pretty iconic, as you can tell.
Great voice.
He does have a great
Yeah,
voice.
I don't get tired of that at
Mhm.
all.
Yeah, and just also that he's also pretty popular in China. I have a bunch of friends. My aunts are a very big fan of him. So it's kind of just like common language. We have,
Yeah.
although we are different in different generations, we all have this common language of music that we all listen to when we go back to home, and I can see her.
Yeah, I love that. Like "Die for You" by The Weeknd is a very powerful
Yeah,
song.
yeah, it is.
And then, sorry, one last question. Do you
Of
have
course.
a song that you would take from China and give to people here that you think people should listen to?
That's a very good question. There is an artist in China called David Tao.
David Tao.
And yeah, his music style is deeply influenced by, as I said before, that the U.S. R&Bs in 1990s. He's personally trained in a music academy, so I think definitely listen to one of his songs, and just in any album, especially the album dropped in 2000. I think that album was really good for, kind of seeing this reflection of how the rhythm are the common language between the songs from different languages.
Yeah.
If you may.
Very interesting. All right, I appreciate you joining us on the Notes of the Hilltop, episode 4, and our viewers, I hope you enjoy.